Remind us again, how many rooms does your new mansion have?
10,000.
I heard something like 5.
It's got, quite a few rooms. I'm not used to it. It's twice as big as I thought. I hadn't arrived until on Friday, and my sister came and saw it for me. She was like, yeah, it's lovely, you should get it. You'll love the flat. It's really close to the sea and stuff. So I was like, yeah, perfect. Just what I wanted. And then I got here, and I was just in shock for the first hour.
Any ideas how you're going to use any of the rooms? So one is going to be the bedroom, one is going to be the living room, one is going to be, I guess, some kind of office.
Yeah, one's going to be like a spare room / Warhammer.
That's exactly why you moved to Newcastle, right?
Yeah.
You wanted a Warhammer room?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, women want like a shoe dressing room, whatever, and you want the Warhammer room.
Yeah.
Well, it takes up so much space. So before it was like all in boxes and stuff. Now I can just have it all out and stuff.
Oh, you're going to display it on the side. You know, in Munich, there's a tabletop club, and my friend is a member of that, I believe, and you pay like a very small monthly fee. But they use it to rent a place and have like a Warhammer setup up and ready there. And I think they also display the armies there and everything. It's like, I'm totally making up the name Munich Tabletop Club, like the most generic thing you could ever imagine. But that's the thing. But now you got your own tabletop club in Newcastle.
Yeah, it's my house.
Dude, I love that so much. Hey, by the way, hello and welcome everyone to Everyday Eternal number 177, your favorite, most deceptively named bi-weekly legacy podcast. If you want to support the running of the show directly, you can support us on patreon.com/everydayeternal. And by the way, just for this episode, we're going to have to deal with some reverb because Callum is speaking from his halls, from the Great Hall of the Callum mansion. Or
the Great
whatever.
Hall of the newest castle.
Yeah, just the newest castle. How many castles are there in England?
You
have like old castle. Is old castle like a town?
It probably is. I don't even know.
Is there like used
mid-castle?
Mid-castle.
Mid-castle.
Contemporary castle or something? I could see that.
I feel like this is like kind of formats that people have made, like offshoots of pre-modern. People make mid-modern. I don't know.
Actually, like there's like New York and there's also York. So there must be just like. We talked about Elephant Castle,
there is
right?
York.
Oh yeah, there is York, but there's no castle, right? There's probably like 10,000 castles, and the people are like,
there's a lot of castles in England.
Anyway, we're a legacy podcast, right, guys?
Yeah.
By the way, before we get to that, I listened to your podcast today. You know the Behind the Bastard podcast?
Nope.
So they speak, actually, I've only listened to one episode of them yet, but they do some background on some of the worst people in history. So the most recent episode was actually about Kai. No.
I was wondering whether you would say me or Kai. So.
Close enough. No, it was actually Osama bin Laden, so basically the same thing, right? And they talked about his huge collection of, stuff on his laptop or computer, because when he was hiding from the CIA from, I don't know, for like 5 years or something, he didn't have an internet connection. So the way he like sent letters and got stuff was he had a guy with a USB stick, and he would send him like to a foreign castle to a foreign country, just so like they couldn't like trail him or whatever. Well, I guess that didn't work out in the end. And he would like go to internet cafes and download everything Osama wanted and then come back. And also like on the way there, he would like deliver mail because he would sit there in his compound, castle, whatever, and send out like all these letters to people all around the world. But they also mentioned how Osama bin Laden was actually absolutely terrible at writing headlines. Like naming his essays, he was so terrible. And they believed that like one of the reasons why later on he wasn't as effective in like doing his terrorist thing is because he titled his stuff like "Letter to my Muslim friends around the world, especially those on the Saudi Arabian Peninsula" or something. And people are like, dude, this is the year 2000. When was he killed? I don't know, 14? Like, you have to be like, number 5 will shock you, especially what happens in Saudi Arabia or something. He was so bad at like marketing the political side of his thing, and people only like did the whole performance thing that he did. That was like what people were into, but they never cared about his, well, I was almost gonna say teachings. But anyway. You guys take guesses, because somebody filed, I don't know, I'm completely derailing this, but I'm loving this so much. Somebody filed a Freedom of Information Act thingy in the US. So the US had to actually release what was on his hard drive. And he had like 160 gigabytes of stuff, mostly video content. Half of it was porn. And can you guys guess which kind of porn he was into?
No, I don't want to.
I guess that's probably the correct answer. No, of the stuff they found the most was like Tom and Jerry, which like I guess was not porn, but also he was like really into Naruto, hentai, and he played those games where like the further you get into the game, there's like a picture of a woman, and the further you get, she undresses, and as you play through the game, you see a completely picture of her naked.
Wow.
And that was...
and then the rest of the hard drive is just .dec files, which is all like Tron, Eldrazi Tron.
Actually, I believe that might actually be it. Imagine if like he was grinding Magic Online. Just like...
it's great that you like the first deck that came to your mind was Eldrazi Tron.
I mean, it sounds about right. That's very much a terrorist deck, right?
I'm not calling Eldrazi Tron players terrorists. It's just the worst deck that comes to mind.
I mean, like anyone who plays Chalice of the Void is basically a half terrorist.
I mean, do they even play Chalice anymore? I feel like they just like do the terror act, and they don't, like Chalice of the Void is more like the propaganda, like, oh, you shall not play CMC 1 spells. They're like, do whatever you want. We're just gonna like crush your stuff.
Yeah, like Chalice of the Void, like in Japan, like we always called it like the initial greeting, you know, the game starts, and then as the first greeting, you start with Chalice of the Void and see what your opponent does, basically.
Do you have to like to bow when you make Chalice of the Void on the first turn?
Oh, you better bow, maybe, because you own something to your opponent, maybe, if you drop a Chalice like that.
I don't know about that. But guys, I haven't played a lot of Legacy lately, to put it mildly, but I've been following it a bit. And holy shit, like what actually happened on the MTGO showcase? Like what is this? Like when I opened up the results and I saw Jeskai, while Yorion, like once again that almost felt like an AI made up these decks. Like what is Jeskai, while Yorion?
This deck, as far as I know, came out of like nowhere.
Look at it. Just look at it.
It looks like a kind of a pet deck that you'll play in the 2-2 bracket at your local game store. But I haven't played it and I haven't played against it. But my friend Jamie's been playing it a bunch, and he says it's pretty good, actually.
I don't even know where to start. Like, I look at the creatures. It's just like 4 Achani, Nakatla Pariah, 4 Broadside Bombardiers.
Well, those 2 is a combo.
Drake.
Like,
yeah, okay. Yeah, but like 4 Gilded Drake, 4 Philia, 4 Recruiter. Like, this is almost like Death in Texas, just like gone mad or something.
I mean, Philia and Gilded Drake is pretty sick together as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you can afford 4 Gilded Drake. I don't know how much are they these days.
They are a lot.
They're quite expensive, yeah.
I mean, they're going to be ranked in like, I don't know, Commander Tier 4 or something, so they're going to be like so expensive. Or actually, maybe the price going up, who knows. Yeah,
I gotta tell you, like, this is like actually one of the very best cards in creatures in Commander, I feel. Like, it's like everyone plays Gilded Drake, and especially like the more competitive it becomes, I think.
Mm-hmm. The flavor text is so good for the card for its price.
Buyer beware.
Yeah. It's just funny for an expensive card.
You know, what I loved so much about that's really good. What I loved so much about the card is I think it doesn't read the Oracle text anymore, but it used to say this ability cannot be countered except by spells and abilities. Which, like, when the first time you read it, you'd be like, yeah, but what else? Like, of course.
Did it really used to say that?
Yeah, there wasn't. Actually, it never said that on the card, but I mean, look at the card. Like, it doesn't do anything. I guess it still does flying. Okay, I'm going to give it that. But basically, for a long time, it had the the Oracle text that said, this ability cannot be countered except for by spells and abilities. What is it? Can you guys like make sense of that? Because I can, but I mean,
I don't believe that it said that because it doesn't make sense.
It makes sense. It does make sense, and that's the beauty of it.
So it says like it's okay to stifle it, right?
Yeah, it's okay to stifle it. It's okay to I don't know, trick bind it. There's another way to counter an ability except for spells and abilities, and that's the beauty of it.
Is it the old wording for like fizzles?
Yeah,
like the target's gone.
Yeah. Okay. Like when the target is gone, it does not fizzle.
And so
which is like the most complicated way to put it, but also like the most elegant way in a way, like if you understand rules. It's just like, I think a lot of people read the flavor text back then. They were like, huh?
Got it.
Yeah, what does it actually say now? If you don't or can't make an exchange sacrifice, this ability still resolves if the target becomes illegal. Yeah, I guess they made it a little bit easier to understand.
Wild.
God, I love that card.
It's a very cool card though.
Yeah, but okay, help me out again. How much have you guys been playing lately?
A little bit, because I've just moved house. I've been like concentrating on that. So I played a bit before that. I was playing quite a lot before that, actually. Like, because Eternal Weekend's coming up, I felt a bit out of practice, so I need to play more. So I'm still keeping up with things. Like, I'm hopelessly addicted to this game and Legacy. So even if I've got loads of other things going on, like even on Saturday, I had my whole family here. I've just moved into a new house, just moved city. And I was still like on my phone checking how friends are doing in events and stuff. Like, I don't know. So I'm always kind of keeping up to date if I can. Through addiction.
Like have you been testing like Painter non-stop or other than
pretty much. I also got a bit sick of all the Underground Seas and Legacy, so I bought a vintage deck on Magic Online and I started playing that, and my second match they go Grief, reanimate Grief. It's just like, god damn it. I'm running away from this.
Welcome back, dude. Loving it. Kai, how much have you been playing lately?
So I've been going through my collection a lot like recently because of like both like old formats, and like just like earlier today I stumbled across like some Japanese Ancestral Visions, and I was like, dude, oh boy, man, like that card hasn't really aged all that well, but like I remember it as one of the best things, you know, to be doing.
When you were like 15?
In like mid-range, huh? Oh, I didn't cry. No, it was like I just stumbled across them. And
you actually do that? Like you like relive the nostalgia of seeing those cards?
Oh yeah, kind of. Especially because like a minute later, I stumbled across a Painful Truce, and like I was like, oh yeah, shit, that's kind of like the same card. Like I think Patrick Chapin came up with this incredible 4-color deck in 2015. I think it was at GP Seattle, and he had like this Deathrite Charm and Monastery Mentor Painful Truce 4-color. Mid-range deck. Oh, that
sounds like he'd play like Mishra's Bauble and Gurmag Angler and Tasker as well.
Oh man, yeah, I think so. I don't remember the entire list.
It's so funny you say Painful Truths, because I was watching, you know, there's like the 2 Twitch channels that do old GPs over and over again. I was watching an old standard it was like Jeskai Black and stuff. The Khans of Tarkir, and they someone played Painful Truths, and it brought back so many memories of me playing in Bug Delver when I was a Delver scum.
Oh, dude, yeah,
in the
sideboard probably against Control.
Yeah,
dude,
for Miracles.
That was good tech. You don't see that type of tech anymore, I think, in tempo decks where you play like
because the creatures draw cards.
Exactly. Yeah, I guess you have it pre-boarded already.
Yeah, sadly, but I wish 3 mana lose 3 draw 3 was still playable. It's such a sick card.
Think so, yeah.
But I'm the same. I have like so much nostalgia attached to cards. Like I don't really like flick through binders or look through boxes just for nostalgia, but I have a bunch of old cards that I've got Portal cards that I bought when I was like a teenager that got me into the game still. Whenever I see them, like, oh
yeah,
like Plated Worm and all these Portal and stuff. So I get very nostalgic.
I want to say the cards that make me feel the most like from a non-competitive nostalgic point of view is probably Rofellos, Llanowar Emissary. And also, like, it's kind of funny, like, when you look back at this and you're not a native English speaker, you look at some of the cards and you remember which words they taught you, because I had no idea what an emissary was, because, like, when you go to school in Germany, they don't tell you. Like, this is not the kind of word you learn. And then, I don't know, Dave King became an emissary to the king of, I don't know, like, yeah, but you look at, like, Rofellos, you're like, huh, what is Llanowar and what is an emissary? And like you look it up and I don't know. It's just like I always think about that. Yeah. Also the card, it's so cool. It's just
also like Rofellos is also like almost banned in every format, right? It's certainly banned in Commander and like in like is it legal in Legacy?
Commander every time I went into any kind of other format, I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna be the no, sorry, okay, also banned here. No, you can't touch this.
Okay.
Like you literally can only play him like in, I don't know, casual or like Alpha 40. You can play like, I don't know, 40 Ruffle. Okay, that doesn't really work very well, but you get the idea.
He's only banned in Commander, right?
He's also banned in Dual Commander, and that's the big thing for me, because I immediately went to Dual Commander and I was like, okay, let's play Rofellos. No, it's banned. Then like I tried a different kind of Dual Commander. It's also banned.
Play it in Legacy.
Like, dude, I was actually like when I played a lot of apps, I was actually thinking about it at times. But of course, like it's just like so terrible. It's just like so bad. So much worse than Priest of Titania.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's a pretty bad card unless it's your 8th card in your hand that you play on turn 2 every time.
Yeah, that's basically how it worked back in my school.
Did you also do the same thing where like you'd have your best card and you'd shuffle it to the top every game?
No, that's the thing. I think I talked about this at some point. I never, like, we talked about, have you ever cheated Magic? And I was like, oh, I won slow played, and I felt so bad for it. And you guys were like, yeah, I stacked my deck in the finals of a GP. And I was like, oh, okay, did not expect that. No, I take real pride in, like, never, even remotely. And there was, like, one guy at my school, and he would palm the perfect 7. And then he would present, like, I was going to say 53, but probably more like 88 or something.
Was
like,
it eight Forest Crush of Worms?
No. I think it actually involved Rofellos because he was playing a mono green deck. But I remember he was okay. So I was playing the sophisticated mono green deck. I actually wasn't mono green. I played Intruder Alert, and
I was playing the sophisticated mono green deck. I was playing Intruder Alert. Excuse me.
I played Intruder Alert and Recycle, which is like a 6-mana permanent Glimpse of Nature, but it also basically. That way I would go through my entire deck at some point. So what
Goofy
he did,
artwork.
yeah,
I love Recycle. I've even played that in Legacy.
Isn't it like Folios, like the Folio guy who did the artwork for Recycle?
Yeah,
so.
Phil Foglio.
Yeah. So the other guy who would always palm the perfect 7, he played like the stupidest shit you can imagine. He was basically playing a completely, I don't know, retarded version of my deck. He did also have Intruder Alert, but then he used like the weirdest elves to generate the mana. And he didn't like just like draw cards and play them like a proper player. He used Call of the Wild. You know that card?
Oh.
It's like a stupid 4-mana enchantment. It has Squee on it. And you pay 4, and I think you reveal cards from the top of your library until you hit a creature and you put it into play. So that's how he triggered Intruder Alert, by paying 4 every time and like getting random creatures into play. Unlike me, who was like, you know, sophisticated, I would eventually hit my second and my third recycle, and like I would start drawing. Like literally, I did the glimpse thing 25 years before I became like the elf guy or something. But yeah, he did that. He did all of that, and then eventually he would kill you with, oh god, Kugelfish gift, like puffer, like what's fucking Kugelfish in English? Blowfish, like the one who like if you eat it and somebody didn't prepare it right, you die.
Oh,
like the poisonous one?
Yeah. And there's a card in Mercadia Masks, which is like, pay X, your creature gets like plus X plus 0, and then you have to sacrifice it at the end of turn. And that was his win condition. Like, what the fuck?
Sick.
Okay, which format was that?
Well,
Kitchen
Oscar Maria
table.
Graf Gymnasium. This is like the format that existed at our school.
Cards we own.
Yeah, I remember like when we were playing, like we were the guys who like the older guys at our school at some point, like 17, 18 years old or something. And there was like one of the newer guys, he actually had heard about the internet and all that kind of stuff, and he did that thing. And I think I played Gaia's Cradle or something. He was like, whoa, that card is restricted. And I was like, the fuck is restricted? Like I thought he was like completely making this up. And he was like, okay, so that means you're playing vintage and you're only playing like this and that. And that guy was like, that guy is just like trying to be as smart as like none of that exists. So I was like,
people still play this same kind of like anything goes format, but within Legacy.
Within Legacy?
Yeah, they're called bug players. They just get what they own and put it in a deck.
And they splash red sometimes, right? That's how
sometimes. If they feel smart, they splash red.
Okay. But yeah, going back to that, that guy, everybody at my school knew that he would palm the quote-unquote perfect 7, and nobody wanted to play against him. Like, nobody called him out on the shit because we didn't really want to deal with the drama. We just literally were like, I don't feel like playing. And then you sit down and play against somebody else. Yeah. What do you... Well... Anyway, I just feel it's so stupid. It's kind of funny because wasn't there this guy who was playing Amulet at GPs? And he would like also pawn the perfect 7, which is like a turn. He had a single Simian Spirit Guide in his deck, so you could play turn 1 Amulet, like bounce land, make mana, play Summer Bloom, go infinite on the first, not infinite, but kill on the first turn. And then people ran the numbers and were like, the amount of turn 1 kills he has is like something that happens 1 in 2 million tournaments or something. It's just like a little bit fishy. And as it turns out, like the guy had the guts, the audacity at a GP top 8 to present a 53 card deck while palming the turn 1 kill. And I take pride in believing that when I shuffle a 53 card deck, I think I can tell that this is not 60 cards. Unless, then we get into like, I don't know, double, triple sleeves, whatever. But like a regular double sleeve deck with nothing special, I'm pretty sure I can tell if it's a 53 card deck.
Yeah, I would as well.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, it's what, like more than 10% missing? Definitely.
I feel so stupid that I feel I'm so sorry to say this, but I was so impressed that Kai could do the math on the spot.
Yeah,
slightly more than 10%.
It took me 4 seconds, but yeah.
Anyway, we are completely somewhere else. But
I mean, like it sometimes happens like to me where like in a paper tournament when someone shuffles my deck and I have like really thick inner sleeves, like ones in Japan that they don't even exist in regular stores in Japan. You have to go to like a very specific. It's almost like like dealing drugs almost, like because I get the sleeves from a friend who knows someone who knows another guy, and he makes these sleeves and never really sells them in a store, but they're really, really nice and so robust and thick that some people assume that I'm on a Yorion deck, because my deck's just like so tall, but it's actually
I would never do that to myself.
Oh, dude, I usually go like it's like we half there, it's 70 cards.
So you basically get custom made sleeves.
Yeah, kind of. So basically, yeah, it's like in Japan you have so many trading card games that there's also like a high demand on like supplies and all that, and so like some people open their own like sleeve business, but they don't produce enough to to display them at the store. So like usually you have to like order them on demand.
Because I talked to some people who at least were like in that kind of business in Magic, and they eventually gave up because they said we can't really, as you mentioned, right, produce at a volume high enough that the cost per piece is low enough for us to offer this at a reasonable price. And that's why custom sleeves never really took off, except for like, I guess for the crazy, I mean, the crazy rich who are buying them from that remote underground dealer like you do in Japan, having them shipped to Berlin. Okay.
Well, here's the thing, right? Like, so the sleeves are so robust, like you never break them. Like,
that's bad for sales, dude.
Yeah. I guess that sucks.
Have you never heard
sales.
of like planned obsolescence?
Oh, is it like how they make jeans in H&M that kind of break
basically
after like a year or
stuff
two?
That you can't. Yeah, I don't know if it's specific to jeans. I was thinking more about like tech stuff.
Oh.
Basically, where they sell you like phones, and they will make sure to like, or rather be happy about them breaking in like 3 years, so you have to buy new ones. Yeah, okay. Never mind. So, guys, I wanted to talk about a couple of things, but I think a lot of this stuff is a little bit all over the place, especially now that whole Commander shit show has happened. That's the best way I can put it. And for those who don't know, congratulations. But I think the pre-story is that the Commander Rules Committee, which is like a non-Wizards of the Coast entity, like they were completely independent, and they used to maintain and manage the EDH Commander format, as in they would ban cards or, I don't know, have other kinds of impacts on the policy of how to play the game. They banned, help me out again, I think the most important thing they banned were Mana Crypt and
Jewel Lotus.
Which is like literally not a card in any format anymore at this point, right?
Exactly.
You can play it in Legacy with Doubling Cube.
Oh, and people actually did that, right?
So it's not completely dead.
It's not completely dead.
I actually die to it sometimes.
Yeah. And then like Dockside and Nadu. It's so funny, like Nadu is like literally like unplayable in like almost any format except Legacy, which is pretty cool, and Vintage, I suppose.
Nadu's kind of funny, right? Because they consciously made it weaker, they said, to not break Commander, thereby accidentally breaking like Modern.
See, this is what really pisses me off at this point. Like, this actually annoys me a lot. I don't really have like a horse in any of this race. I don't really play EDH much, apart from over beers with friends and stuff. But like, to change Nadu for Commander from your Modern Horizons set, and then have Modern Horizons be like lame duck and shit for 2 months, and then it gets banned in Commander anyway. Like, I know they did a big article saying it's a mistake of a card, but like, this is maybe the biggest fuck up ever. I don't know.
Well, it's, I don't know, Companions maybe. That's
I mean,
up
certainly
there.
very close. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Except that Nadu is not even like
but
its own
Companions
mechanic.
were banned in like 3 or 4 weeks. I can't quite remember.
Yeah, they were so broken. Like, I will never forget, like, Daniel Götze. He literally said when he first saw not Serda, what's the other one? Lurrus. When he first saw Lurrus, his immediate reaction was, this card is better than Black Lotus. That was like the most authentic immediate reaction he had to that card. And turns out it was the first card literally banned in Vintage in like forever, outside of like dexterity and that kind of stuff.
I would give the caveat to like only because you can't restrict it based on how companions work.
But it turned out better than Black Lotus in that regard.
I do agree, though. Yeah,
yeah. But anyway, I totally see your point. Like, I think they mentioned right how they changed Nardu and then never tested it in any format, and they kind of apologized for it. But it was one of the biggest fuck ups in Magic history, actually.
Yeah,
definitely. Like, it's like whenever like some card becomes really viral in any format, like people kind of tend to believe very, very quickly that maybe it's the best time to sell this card because who knows what might happen to it, right? It's just so easy to assume that something's gonna get banned if it's just like a little bit too powerful and popular at the same time.
Yeah,
and now we're stuck with it in Legacy. Like it's legal in Vintage as well, but it's not good enough there. So it's just us, Legacy. We get Nardu, yay!
Yeah. And I think like the only reason why we get Nardu is because Legacy is also like a daze format. Like it's just so easy to daze Nardu, except if you ramp it with Delighted Halfling, I guess. But like, like Wasteland Days really keep anything that costs 3 or more mana in check, I think.
I mean, it's basically, those are two of the most important cards in the fall. Like, I've been on tape many, many times that one of the biggest fixes to Modern, whenever Modern was like miserable, was you need Wasteland and Days in that format to like try and stabilize it. People were like, no, those cards are so miserable. Yeah, they are miserable because your deck is just like clunky bullshit. And, you want to cast your 6 mana endgame late drop on the 4th turn and like run away with the game. Just like, no, we don't do that. I guess we sometimes do that, but you get the point. Anyway, but I wanted to talk about like your thoughts on Wizards now making this in-house, because the rules committee, as expected, I guess they received a lot of hate, as you would expect, just by the number of people who like react to it. There's gonna be, in absolute numbers, a lot of hate, and one by one, a lot of them were like resigning from the committee and stuff.
I mean, they got death threats, which I think is just utterly embarrassing for this game. Like, how can you take yourself so seriously and that you'd send someone a death threat over this? It's just absolutely
the thing
ridiculous.
is like what else is going on in your life, right? If you value this so much, or honestly though, like, and if people even try to make the financial argument, like if the financial side hits you so badly that you will make a death threat, then I don't think you should have been spending that money in the first place. So I would say that's on you.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't want to, like, of course it's terrible and people should really get their shit together, like, for something like this. At the same time, like, I can see that it's so heated up because everyone cares so much about Magic, I think. Like, if no one cares, then we would not have this situation.
I don't think a lot of these people actually care about Magic. I think a lot of these people care about like their image, how they perceive themselves, how they express themselves through Magic. If you know what I mean, right? If you're like a fan of the game of Magic, you play Magic and you enjoy it, just like most people play their hobby. But in Magic, and especially in Commander, it's different, because a lot of people, they instill some kind of meaning into that deck that then reflects on them. It's just like, it's almost like the definition of being toxic, where like you put your self-worth and everything into this external thing, and then like if anything happens to that, you know how somebody, I guess, also like toxic fandom, like if you, I don't know, you're obsessed with some kind of pop star and then something bad happens to that person and then you go crazy and your life is and like everything is bad. Just that's also like a super toxic relationship. It's just like, no, you don't like that pop star, you like what that pop star, like what you liking something else makes you feel about yourself, and not like just for the pure enjoyment of the thing. And I hope you guys know what I mean. Yeah,
I mean, like, you also gotta add that it's also like social media, and social media is just a very dangerous place sometimes, where people, have like really strong opinions about things, and because like usually in your feed you do, the algorithm makes it so that you do see things that you like, or like people who usually agree with your opinion and so on. So like, it's just really unusual, I think, for social media to, for you to see things that are like opposite of your opinion, I think, in that capacity. So honestly, definitely see that. But at the same time though, like I think that the changes were so I kept a lot of like attention, and I watched most of the videos from the professor and from Bosch and Rule and like all the other people, right? And basically the main outcome of this whole scenario is that the bans were actually good for the gameplay. It's just like a financial disaster for everyone.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And I can also
that's a no-brainer. That like, from a gameplay perspective, it's a thing that should have been a thing from the start. Same for Soul Ring. Like the only reason they have not banned Soul Ring is because Wizards was like putting it into everything that they like. If you opened your lunchbox and there wasn't Wizards employee walking by, that's just like, hey, have a Soul Ring. Like everywhere, everybody have a Soul Ring. But if that hasn't happened, and they hadn't created this culture of like, hey, Soul Ring is for everyone, then I think they would have also totally banned Soul Ring. Yeah, just a stupid card.
That's like banning Underground Sea in Legacy.
I think it's more like banning fetchlands in Legacy.
Oh, except that fetchlands are quite cheap.
Yeah, okay. Right. Relative to Underground Sea, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But because I had like the also like kind of like the unstimulated reaction. I think like I own 2 Jewel Lotus and 3 Mana Crypts for like.
Why would you do that?
Oh, because I first got them for Vintage because I always wanted to play Mana Crypt in Vintage, and I did
the famous 3 Mana Crypt format, Vintage, yeah.
Yeah, and then like I started to build more and more Commander decks, and some of them need Mana Crypts and Jewel Lotus because
you just can't move them around.
6 and 7 drops. So
it's a convenience thing where you pay hundreds of dollars just for the convenience of not having to move them around. At that point, honestly, why not just play like a really nice looking Xavatarix proxy?
That's a good idea, but I also own 12 Dark Rituals, 3 sets. So
I mean, that I can see.
Oh, that's the same thing, though.
It's not nearly as expensive.
Yeah, it's like fashion.
3 sets of alpha.
Sometimes you feel sometimes you feel like, I don't know, Mirage, and sometimes you feel Mechanic.
Okay, that's interesting. Do you guys have any kind of fashion item, cloth, that you have multiples of the same, just so you can keep wearing it without having to wash it?
I have the same jeans.
Like, my socks.
Yeah, okay.
Socks
like nothing you wear underneath.
Yeah.
Just something you wear on the outside for the fashion value of it. You have like 2 of the same shirt, 2 of the same, I don't know, hoodie.
Not a single thing.
Because that's what you're doing, Kai.
I'm also a lazy person, all right? Okay, I just don't want to like switch cards around because then I don't even know where the card ended up. And like,
the thing is, like, why would you need to switch them around for Commander anyway? There's no deck check. They're just like... other people are going to be like, oh, this is a proxy.
I'm doing my own deck check. I'm my own judge. That's the thing.
Oh, that sounds way too religious for me. Anyway, I was mostly curious about what you guys think about like all of this moving in-house with Wizards, and Wizards having like, okay, I'm going to call it delusional idea of like tiering Commander. Honestly, though, I call it delusional, but I like that they only want to make 4 tiers as opposed to like the unofficial 10 ones that we had before that nobody ever used. So what are your thoughts about, first of all, it going in-house with Wizards, and second of all, about this whole tier bracket idea?
I'll go first because I don't have a ton of thoughts. It's a simple answer because I think it sounds like Kai does. I think this going in-house seemed inevitable, and I'm kind of surprised it took so long. I think the reason it wasn't in-house at the beginning was because it was a kind of sign of respect, because it was a fan-made format and they wanted to honor that and stuff, is my understanding anyway. And so given that they've been designing a Commander deck with like every single set for a while now, like it was totally going to happen anyway, and so this latest thing with the bans and stuff seems to have just escalated it, and so that's fine. What was the second question, Julian?
The whole idea about having 4 tiers of decks going forward.
I feel like I like that as well. I think this is where it gets like into such a gray area because everyone's idea of Commander is different, and so I don't feel very strongly on this, but I think defining it officially is probably a good thing. It might cause more arguments, but I think it'll probably cause less in the long run. And so, people that it's going to be, hopefully, if they do make a good list of like the 4 tiers, it'll make it easier for someone to not know how strong their deck is. They can like look at what is a tier and be like, oh, okay, it probably is tier 2 or whatever. The people in tier 4 are probably happy because they're just like, yeah, this is you're making a casual deck to be casual. The people in tier 1 are playing the CEDH and stuff, and tier 2 or 3 is probably themey decks in the middle. So in theory, it sounds good to me, but obviously have no idea how it's going to actually play out. That's how I feel.
Like, I think it's a little scary to to know that Wizards is both in charge of the format and also in charge of printing new cards, right? I just hope that they won't print like a sort of like a new staple that goes in a lot of decks, for, like really limited and it's a mythic rare and with almost no reprints.
Can I just argue against that?
Disaster.
They've already done that. They're already doing it, like Jeweled Lotus.
Yeah, I mean, it got a couple of reprints, right? Like in a special version, but still, like, like crazy expensive.
I think they were going to do this anyway, and now they just will continue to.
Yeah. But because as you can see, like, like the bans and unbans of cards really dominate the price on the market, like the secondary market. And yeah, I just hope that like their main goal is to ensure that the format is all cool and people can like brew a lot, and then that the availability of the cards is kind of equal for everyone. About the 4 tiers, I don't think anyone's gonna give a shit about this because most Commander players play in their own groups. In fact, like I also have my own group of like, I don't know, like 12, 14 dudes, and like we always like, discuss about like power levels and such, and like we've never really listened to anyone's like guidelines about like, how you should like structure your decks and how to make them powerful and blah blah blah. And I think the only place where it actually matters, like the new 4 tiers, is probably at an official Wizards of the Coast event, be it like a Magic Con
like
or something.
Command Zone or whatever they have.
Exactly, yeah. At their official events, they will certainly have, like at the entry probably, and they're gonna ask you like, so like we have those 4 categories, like what's your deck gonna be, right? And then they seat you at the right table maybe.
But I don't think that's actually how, because now you're talking about tournaments and that's already CDH, right? At least from my understanding, the way these command zone thingies work is you just like randomly walk around and sit down with people, or is it like more organized?
I've actually never been to an event like this, like at the commander portion at least, because I usually play with my friends only. But I've been to one event in Japan, in Haruya, and they did it so that anyone can show up, and it really doesn't matter what type of deck you have. You get asked at the beginning, are you here to have fun, and play a couple of pet cards? Or
does anybody ever say no to that?
Are you here to cast like Docksides and like blink Dockside Extortionists and like
I'm here to wreck some nerds. Like, okay, come over here, please.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like left and right, basically. Yeah.
Just like you sit down at the worst table ever created.
It's almost like a quiz they do, you know what I mean? Like they do like a couple of questions, yes, no, and then it goes to the next question, like yes, no, and so on and so forth. And then you end up in one of those categories. Like that's at least how they did it in Japan.
Sounds like a lot of work, honestly.
Yeah, kind of, but you also like, it sounds like a waste of time, I think, at the beginning, because you have to fill out this quiz, but you end up actually saving a lot of time because you get seated at the correct table with the correct opponents.
Does it work that way? Because I would think, and I mean, I have a very low opinion of people who go into Commander to win. And I think that's still a significant part of it, because they just like, okay, that's a different point I want to make later. I think there might be some people who will be like, oh yeah, I'm here to win. Oh no, my deck is a pet deck. It's just like, yeah, and then I sit down at the table and then I secretly crush everyone. And they probably like do it in a way that's just like rather subtle. Where they don't have a combo, they just like have a really good mid-range endgame control deck where slowly but surely like they don't die, and then they take over the game and everybody's like, yeah, I guess we had a good game, and then the same person always wins, and they're like, yeah, look at me. I don't know. I feel like to go deeper on that, a lot of people who are like that in Commander, they are there to chase that. I think I said that on the Discord as well, that to chase that 80% win rate in a format where, like, if you had a 40% win rate, you'd be insanely goated. Yeah. Because, like, on average, like, you're supposed to have like 25%, and they just like want to bully everybody around, and I just like I look down on that so much, because that's just like, I don't know, I don't like it when people in competitive games don't challenge themselves and they just want to win. And that's just like, yeah. I feel like that's a huge part of Commander. But honestly, I don't know. I haven't played a ton of Commander. And when I have, it's never with like strangers. It's just like people I know. And there's never this kind of problem with that. So I don't know. Maybe we're all lucky that we never play with like. Just, it sounds the worst, right? Oh my god, playing Commander against strangers. Oh, who would ever do that? Probably like 90% of people. I don't know. Or is it more like play group based? I don't know.
Oh yeah, like no, it's like every store does like Commander nights, and you just show up, and the more often you go, like the more friends you make. And but yeah, I can totally see like how strange it is to sit down with like 3 people you've never met before, and then you're gonna play like a social political game kind of. It's not for everyone, for sure. But
yeah,
I don't know. And also, like, I don't think I've ever won a game in Commander. Also.
But you keep playing it, so you must be doing something right?
Oh, yeah. Because everyone wants to do the thing,
Actually, what's your favorite Commander? I think you play Mono Black, right?
Yeah, it's Phage the Untouchable. When I
cast... You're the guy having the most fun, always losing, but you play Phage.
Yeah, dude, when I cast my Commander, I die. And that's why I need a little bit of help, aka Platinum Angel.
Actually, when you think about it, Phage is actually insane. You get like 3, well, not really Vindicates every turn, and then like you have to sacrifice one thing, and then like you get 3 random Vindicates again, kinda.
Wait, what are they talking about?
Oh no, Phage the Untouchable. Oh my god, I was talking about Phage, the one that makes you like sacrifice like a thing every upkeep.
Oh no, that's Braids.
That's Braids Cabal.
And also she's banned, so
of course she's banned, because I was like, she's actually good, right?
Dude, can we please stop talking about Commander, please?
But the only things that ever come, like whenever I want to build a commander, whenever I think, this is good, it's banned. Probably for a reason, but challenge. Julian tries to find a commander that's not banned. Impossible.
Before you even start, like, yes, Rofellos is also banned. So.
Yeah, of course it is. Like, all the fun stuff is banned in Commander, at least my kind of fun. But yeah, to quickly touch on my thoughts about that, I think it going in-house was kind of inevitable just because of how big it has become, and there was probably like a lot of unspoken pressure on Wizards wanting that kind of control, but they knew the fallout if they ever pushed for it would be insane. So they were like very happy to see like all of these people resigning and crumbling under the pressure that like Wizards is now happy to take. Like Wizards has always been good with like throwing people under the bus for like to buffer the PR impact to their employees or like external advisors in that case. And I think they're very happy to have that on board. Like they have a lot of like sweet talk now about like, we appreciate your work in creating the format so much and maintaining it, and we will still like keep in touch and yada yada yada. Just like and then you turn around and fuck somebody else, right? That's how it works. And I think that's what Wizards is doing now. And I do like the idea of trying to tier it, just because I already mentioned like the previous thing about like tier 1 to 10 when nobody was ever using like the first couple of tiers, and then like everything was a 7 anyway. I think that was just like bullshit. On a technical level, I like that it's just 4 tiers. I think that makes a lot of sense. On a practical level, I have no idea how they're gonna achieve that, because they talked about like putting cards into different tiers, kinda, but it doesn't really like make it very clear, at least from how I understood it, that like if you have one of those cards and everything else is just like pack rat or something, then your deck is like that tier. Or is it just like, is it more like you play it by ear? If you have too many of those cards, you're a higher tier, but you can technically have the high tier card in your low tier deck. It's just frowned upon.
It is really confusing, and like they will probably sooner or later they will probably see that it doesn't really make a lot of sense, right? Like if you put like Ancient Tomb in your pre-con deck, it's not going to be a 1.
Yeah. Also, like didn't they say something like, but if you play like a commander deck that's like that has a tomb theme, like what the fuck is a tomb theme?
Oh, damn.
How many tombs are there in Magic? Actually, let me look it up. Yeah, so I think they don't actually know how that one's gonna work. So there are 44 tombs. Well, that's also counting Entomb, and okay, there's a lot of stuff that's not actually a tomb. There's Wall of Tombstones. At the end of your upkeep, the X below is set to the number of creatures in your graveyard. So, this is like kind of like a Tarmogoyf, but only for toughness. And it's 2 mana, 0/1, but it can grow. Okay, this is horrible. Okay, that goes into a Tomb deck, for example. But you can't even properly use Ancient Tomb to cast it because it's colorless and red and black. Anyway, so I think that they're gonna have like a lot of work in trying to actually define those 4 tiers, and I honestly think it's much less about which cards go into those decks. And like you guys already kind of mentioned, right, about the mindset. Like, are you here to have fun or whatever other way you want to describe it? Because if you just do it by cards, I don't think that's gonna work out very well. I don't know, Kai, help me out. You're the resident commander expert. It's like survival of the fittest, completely insane.
That card, yeah, it's actually pretty good. I was like thinking for a second if the card is legal or not, but yeah, it's it's certainly legal. It's great. A card, like any tutor is great in a 100 card deck. Like who would have thought?
Yeah, I got flamed actually. You know, a couple of years ago, I was on Pleasant Kenobi's stream or YouTube twice, invited to play Commander, and we talked about previously, like leading up to it, which kind of power level we are aiming for. And I think both times I played, my decks were like rather low and not very good. And then I got flamed like in the comments for like, dude, you played a tutor. Like, yeah, so what? And I got like a terrible card with it. They're like, yeah, but you played a tutor. I'm like, okay, this, whatever. People really like their tutors in that format, huh?
Oh yeah, they certainly do. In like I mean, tutors get better and better that like the bigger the deck is. Like for example, in Yorion decks and Legacy, you see like the full set of Recruiter of the Guard. I guess you saw the card also like in the 60 card builds like earlier, but it was not always like 4 off. I think like in Japan, I saw a couple of like 2 offs, 3 offs sometimes because like the deck was so.
I get that's like concept of that, and that's why tutors are good. But like if you use them to get like crap, like I don't know, Thorn Elemental and cast it 7 turns later, just like how good was your Worldly tutor really?
Yeah, but then I also don't know why you grabbed that Thorn Elemental at the
because
first place.
I love the card and I want to make sure I have it every single game, right? Like if they made like a legendary Thorn Elemental or something, dude, I'd be down. Oh, see now I'm feeling stuff. I don't know. Awesome green stuff. Yeah, I want it. So anyway, my conclusion is there are only 2 people having fun in Commander. One is the person at the very bottom. They play like the lowest tier, like whatever. They don't care. It's just like, I'm here to play my Tree Fork Wizard control deck, what have you. They literally don't care about anything. They just like want to have fun. They want to play their deck, and that's great to them. And whoever wins, whoever loses, it's just like literally doesn't matter. They might not even remember, right? And then there's the people at the top, at the very top tier. They know exactly what they're in for. They know exactly what they bargained for. If you sit down and somebody kills you on the first turn, this is what you signed up for. So stop complaining because this is the stupid kind of commander you signed up for, and play it or don't. I think the only people being really miserable are the ones in the second and third tier, like the ones in the middle. And those are going to be the hardest to define because I think a lot of people will be like, yeah, my deck is like a tier. Well, actually, have you agreed on like, is tier 1 the highest or the lowest?
It should be the highest, I think.
It should be the highest. Okay. I'm just wondering because, okay, this is completely different. But when you play like, I don't know, games like Warcraft, like tier 1 is your lowest town hall. Then you go to tier 2, then you go to tier 3, and tier 3 is at the top. Whereas like when we do power rankings, usually tier 1 is at the top and tier 3 is at the bottom. So I already noticed that like in these discussions on Twitter about the new brackets, that people were like coming from different sides with what they understood to be tier 1 and tier 4, but that's more like semantics. But it already like confused the hell out of me in these discussions. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like the people in the middle, they're going to be miserable, and Wizards is probably going to try to make it as least miserable as possible to them, because bottom and top, that sorts itself out immediately. That doesn't matter at all. But they're going to need to pay a lot of attention to the ones in the middle.
My feeling is the ones in the middle, the ones that cared kind of the least in a way. Like
cared the least?
Yeah, the ones in the bottom one knew that their deck was casual and they're playing with friends for fun anyway, so it doesn't really affect them.
Oh yeah, the change doesn't affect them. That no. I agree.
Yeah.
Just like I'm talking about, like in the new world they created. I think those are the middle ones are the most prone to being frustrated. I don't know. What do you think?
I suppose so. I guess it's just hard to really guess. No, I don't know.
I'm just here sitting with the popcorn, but when like the first list of cards that go into different tiers drop, if that's actually how they're gonna make it, like, can you imagine like which kind of shit show that's gonna be? People are like, no, not in this tier. I love this card so much, and I'm all here for that.
I mean, it kind of makes a kind of interesting deck building incentive if they did have tournaments based on tiers. Like, oh, I want to play this card, but I need to build around the restrictions and stuff. But
yeah,
that's looking at like a positive spin on it.
I mean, like people are already doing it, right? In other formats, I think like in old school, for example, that they have like this singleton format and they have like point system. I guess they do it in Canlander too.
Australian Highlander or Canlander. I think it's really cool. I love it.
Yeah, but I mean, they do it so that every deck is like that. Everyone is on the same page, basically, right? Mm-hmm. And it's a tournament. Where it's like in Commander, like it's not necessarily a tournament. You can just just play the game and just don't give a shit. But because you do it with your friends. But I guess like if you're friends, you can also just go fishing maybe or do something else. It would be fun regardless. So
I think just like doing it as a tournament is defeating the whole purpose of Commander, unless you're playing CDH or like, I don't know, is CDH gonna be that top tier of the new Commander, or is it gonna be its completely own thing?
Oh, I 100% CDH. I think like that's the format where you play the best cards. And I talked to a couple of CDH players here. Like I'm not a CDH player myself, but the people I talk to, they basically play the format because they don't want to do the rule zero conversation. That's the main thing. They just want to sit down, don't talk about the decks, and just shuffle and
kill the other guy, right?
And start playing. Exactly.
Yeah. I can respect that. I can very much respect that.
Like, we also don't have it in Legacy, right? Like imagine if you sit down and go like, I have like 2 Ancient Tombs in my deck and like 3 Ponders, so I guess it's like tier 2 maybe.
You say we don't have the conversation in Legacy. We do have it. We just have it after the game. And they're like, oh, dude, you got so lucky. You had that turn 1 Chalice, and I had the Force, but then you dazed me. Okay, actually, I have no idea which deck plays like turn 1 Chalice and dazes. You get the idea, right? Legacy, the tier 1, the rule 0 conversation happens after the game. That's just how it works. We complain afterwards about like, oh, no, you cannot play this. This is too good, or you got too lucky. Whereas in Commander, I don't even know, like, do people really have like a proper discussion about rule 0 where they're like, okay, I know this card is banned, but I still want to play it anyway? I think because that's how I understand rule 0 to be. Like, it's not about how powerful your deck is, it's whether or not your deck plays banned cards.
Oh yeah, like people do it all the time.
Really?
Do it all
like, which kind of banned card do you play?
Oh, like for example, like just very recently, like we were discussing about like if it's okay if everyone still keeps playing this Jewel Lotuses and Mana Crypts in our group, just because like why not? Like if everyone does it in our group, then like what do I care?
So it just got a little bit more likely that I could actually get away with Rofellos as my commander.
Probably, dude. I wouldn't stop you. I wouldn't.
You say that now.
I wouldn't stop you at all.
I crush you with my turn 3 Thorn Elemental.
And then I'm gonna add I don't know, Circle of Protection green, and then
No. See, we're gonna have a rule 0 conversation about that kind of shit. Circle of Protection green, my ass,
like,
dude.
Everything's gotta balance out. That's the beauty of Magic in any format.
Yeah.
I think so.
That's a good point.
I think so. Like Legacy also like has like such a crazy history of like ridiculous cards people play to combat the current meta game. Like I don't even know, like mash casualties against True Name Nemesis, for example. Like what a terrible card!
The splash damage it did to fucking elves. Dude,
what a terrible card to play. Or like I don't even know, like Frozen Grip, the deal of counterbalance was like also like so specific, and like Frozen Grip kind of sucks as a card because.
Then they flip Trinket Mage, and you're like, oh shit, good. Or Count's Judgment at some point.
It was usually Entreaty Angels though, like which annoyed me the most. Yeah, because I also knew I'm also gonna die next turn, which is great.
You say we can really put ourselves into different, I don't know, eras of being first hurt by counterbalance. Because you say Entreat the Angels, and that's like, 2012, 13, 14. When I tried to Frozen Grip counterbalance, they would flip Trinket Mage back in 2008. And that's when I got first, scarred by stupid counterbalance, countertop, and that's when I got traumatized. Traumatized is the word I'm looking for. And you always think back at when they first did it. And for you, it was Entreat the Angels. For me, it was Trinket Mage. I can still see it. I still know exactly where I was sitting in that stupid room 17 years ago. Oh, it's just like, whatever. Anyway, I think we're supposed to be a Legacy podcast, but now we ended up speaking a lot about the whole Commander thing. It's just like, it's exciting to me because I still believe that Magic is like on a downwards trend in terms of like, I can't even put it into into what exactly it is. I just feel like Wizards is kind of eating away at the soul of it in some way, and now this is like a huge turning point, and it could delay the inevitable, or it's just like gonna be okay, and we won't be talking about this 20 years from now. It's like, oh, see, this is where the next step happened. I'm just curious because I guess it's a little bit selfish. I'm not impacted by this at all, and I also don't feel like, okay, you guys, okay, I gave it away from my side at least, but do you think this is going to have any impact on Legacy?
I don't think so. Like, people might be a little careful of like buying expensive cards that are not on the reserved list, maybe.
I don't think it will at all. I don't even see how. If I was... no.
Yeah, I think the only way, like, I don't believe that, but I think the only way I've seen it argued was like, okay, so Commander was like providing a bottom line for how far a Legacy card could fall in value if it's just like good and playable in Commander. And now if they could like completely pull the rug under from a card where they ban it in Legacy and Commander for some reason, then you're kind of fucked. If you like, I guess that really only applies to stuff that would be like recently released, everybody buys it, and you feel like, oh, it might get banned in Legacy, but you know it's still going to hold its value because it's going to be in Commander. It's just, nope, it's also gone from Commander. And but even if that happens, you know, that also has like a negative impact on the price, so the price doesn't climb as high in the first place. So I don't know. I think, yeah, as you mentioned, like I don't think it's going to have any kind of impact on Legacy at all, really.
No. A few people might just be a little bit wary of buying newer cards, but I think we kind of were anyway, just because things are getting banned at a higher clip these days. So yeah, I don't think it's to do with EDH. I agree. Like, yeah, we're to talk about Legacy a bit and stuff, but it is the main thing that's going on with Magic and stuff. So I think even me, I don't play EDH at all. I have a deck just because Kai bullied me into it. But like it's what I'm following. Like they did a stream today where they were talking about it, and I watched the end of it at least, even though I don't plan to like play it and stuff. So it is, you know, what's going on in Magic at the moment. So it feels like a pivotal point in the direction of the company, though, because I mean, I saw some really funny takes on Twitter today, like, oh my God, Commander's all about the money now. And like, it has been for the last 5 years. So I
At least, right?
Yeah. Like, I'm personally, I did used to play tons of Commander when it was quite new and stuff. And I built tons of decks and got really into it. And then I discovered Legacy again. But I've not been a fan of these print for EDH cards at all. Like, I hate, you know, Command Tower and this kind of stuff. It just doesn't like fit right with me. For me, EDH was the beginning idea of like, it's just an assortment of cards that you like and stuff, and you try and build a good deck. But whatever, that's just really old person talking, and we're in the future now. I
was wondering, as you mentioned, right? EDH used to be like really old cards, play whatever you want, it's cool. I was actually wondering, and I think it's not happening, but I also wouldn't completely rule it out, that like long term might be a format constituting itself below Wizards ruled EDH, where they go back to, this is literally do whatever you want and we like play this. I think that's it has the problem of like not being able to move into the kind of casual void that existed before EDH. Yeah. So now that's like very strongly occupied by EDH, so it's a lot harder to be like the second thing. I don't know, I'm trying to think of a company that kind of did that to another company, but can't really think of a good example. But in a way, I could see that, but that's, yeah, I'm not sure. But I wouldn't rule it out, because like what we have now is something heavily artificial, Wizard-shaped, Wizards-controlled, that I think it kind of, like, people talk about like how EDH is kind of losing its soul. At least that's the vibe I get from it in some ways. And maybe, you know. Yeah,
that's how I feel. Like that's a big part of why it doesn't attract me to the format, because there's so many cards made for this style of commander, this kind of thing, and there's so many commanders made to like, I mean, they're printing multiple, for example, Enchantments Matter commanders, because it's the illusion of choice. Like, hey, you can choose from all these different enchantment commanders, but then they're making so many staples that have to go in this Enchantments Matter thing. The deck's kind of like pre-made for you, and that for me like lost a lot of the kind of boring stuff behind it, which is what I enjoyed when I was younger. So that's a big part in why I don't find it that attractive these days.
I wonder, like, to which degree you guys know EDHRec, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like EDHRec, I loved that website when I first built like a commander for those shows I was on. I loved it a lot, but also like in a way it heavily like incentivizes people to like, or helps people to streamline their decks. And they're like, hey, so you pick your commander. Okay, see, in this kind of commander, 98% of decks are playing, well, I guess one copy of this card.
Yep.
And it's just like, you click your commander and your deck is basically pre-made for you, and then you change like 6 cards, and that's the identity of yourself you put into it. And if you don't do that, then just like, I don't know, your deck is... It's going to give you that vibe that your deck is terrible, and it's going to give you suggestions. Hey, don't you want to change this for this? And I feel like this is completely, as Callum mentioned, right, against the spirit of the format. Says the guy who has played like 20 matches of Commander in his life.
No, it's like, you know, I get you. Like, it's about the deck building philosophy, right? Like, it's way better to go to, I go to Scryfall all the time, for example. Like, just recently, I built like this Jeskai commander deck. It's like a Kaikara deck. It's like a 4-drop, a bird, and basically, it's kind of like Monastery Mentor. Like, whenever you play a non-creature spell, you get a 1/1 spirit that flies, and you can also sack them to make red mana. But like, I made this internal, like my rule for myself, the restriction that only creatures with the keyword flying can make it into the deck, and then I also play like a bunch of like earthquakes and, you know, stuff that punishes like
that's cool. I love that.
The only creature that doesn't have flying, which I put in my deck, is Magus of the Moat, because it's just
the flavor. Okay,
that's cool.
Because I don't have a moat, but I need a moat effect, you know, because otherwise my deck doesn't really make a lot of sense. But like,
I was going to give you shit for any creature there, but actually that one's good.
Yeah. So like, so what I did was like, I went to Scryfall, right, and I put on the filter like, okay, all creatures in Jeskai colors from my favorite sets, which is like Mirrodin and like Time Sparrow Block and I don't know, like Future
that's
Sight.
something I can identify so much with, right? From your favorite sets. But when I built those decks I talked about earlier, also like I almost wanted to build a completely Urza's block constructed EDH deck just because I love Urza block so much. And also Mercadia Masks. Those are just like some blocks I really vibe with. And I think that's really cool. That's absolutely cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I think like this EDHRec just sort of like only gives you a vibe for like, if you type in like a random legendary creature, like I don't even know, like Chroma Angel of Wrath, for example, then it kind of shows you, okay, so if you want to play that ridiculous commander, most people kind of play it like this, and then you can kind of get an idea of what a deck could look like in a couple of seconds, you know? Because sometimes the commander is just really cool, but the deck is kind of shit, or vice versa, you know?
You know what that reminds me of? That's like complete tangent on that, but I used to think a lot about like, okay, here's the thing. I played World of Warcraft for like 6 months in 2005/6 while I was doing like my military replacement service in Germany. So I had like lots of time to just like randomly do stuff. And I played that like to an insane degree. And then I stopped. And I often think back about why was that so magical to me? Why was that such an insane experience that I have never felt before or after in any kind of online game? And I really put a lot of thought into that because, you know, you chase that high, but at the same time, I don't want to go back into World of Warcraft because I don't think that would be good for me. And I eventually, I really researched this even. Like I tried to read essays on that because that was so fascinating to me. Because to this day, those 6 months in that online game, holy shit, I see why people completely give up their life and like become heroin addicts to World of Warcraft. And at least back then, the biggest difference, and that's kind of weird, I guess, to say, but there was no YouTube. At least there was no widespread YouTube. So as you played the game, you would constantly encounter things you had never seen or experienced before. You would run through the world. You had played the game for months on end, and you would still discover new landscapes, new dungeons, new enemies, like stuff that overwhelmed you. And that way, it was a little bit like the real world, but like, of course, only to a tiny degree if you shut your eyes out from everything. And that was insanely exciting. But now, at this point, in like later on, as YouTube became a thing, you could see everything. Like you could like watch the best clans in the world play the biggest encounters, and nothing was special. Like you've seen it all before. You don't even have to work for it. And now, and to me, I used to phrase it as, this is like where the magic was lost. Like in some way, when YouTube became a thing and you could see and kinda secondhand experience a lot of things that you previously like would encounter for the first time, and then like go home and talk to your friends about and be like, it's kind of like in school, right? When you played Super Nintendo RPGs in school and then you went to school the next day and you talked about what you experienced. Everybody was like, no way, really? See, I had no idea. And YouTube and the internet as a whole kinda took a little bit of that away. And I feel like EDHRec is kind of that for Commander, like where you sit down and you already know what you're going to face, right? Whereas when I played against a deck like Kai just described, everything would be new, everything would be exciting. And that's the difference I see, and that's why it reminds me so much about my thoughts about the magic being lost in, like, I guess for me, World of Warcraft. But yeah, YouTube took a lot away from that. And that's why and now I'm going to come to an end on that, ever since I realized that for myself, whether it's games, movies, whatever, I very much make a conscious effort to never watch any movie trailers, to never watch any game trailers, unless like I'm on the verge where I feel like, oh, this is going to be a game I play for 20 hours and then I'm going to put it away, whatever. And do I want to buy it? Do I not? Okay, whatever. But if I really care about a game and I know it's going to be great, then I try to stay away from anything. Also for movie trailers, I don't even want to get remotely close to that because I want to preserve as much of that like magic as possible. And yeah, that's what was lost in EDH. At least that's what I feel like. And that's my monologue. Gonna climb down from my soapbox.
This has been the most boomer episode I think we've ever done.
Oh yeah. we didn't even want to talk about Commander all that much, right? We have like this huge show notes stuff that I think we're gonna talk, at least touch on in a future episode. It's actually way too long, and that's about the event changes on Magic Online, about like player points and everything, and how treasure chests are like losing so much value, and they have been for a very long time. And I think we're going to touch on that, not today, but I believe it has been inevitable, especially with like how much they've been feeling the inflation on that. Mm-hmm. But have you guys noticed that? Has it like impacted your playing of Magic Online in any way? Just like to really very quickly touch on that.
Me, not in the slightest. I don't follow chest values. When I get chests, I either open them or sell them if I want to buy other things and stuff. I am completely not. I don't care what the prices are, essentially. Yeah, I play tournaments to play Magic.
I didn't even know that chests have a flexible.
I love that so much.
I thought they're always the same.
Guys, seriously, I love you so much. You got the spirits. This is the best.
I do follow like what people are talking about it and look at Twitter and stuff, but like, I know chest values are low sometimes, and I'm like, yeah, it's a booster pack. I'm going to open it. Screw you. I just don't care. Like, yeah.
Yeah, Wizards loves you too.
Yeah, glub, glub, glub. That's a whale sound. Although I don't actually buy much.
By the way, can you actually see whales in Newcastle?
No, but you can see dolphins and seals.
You can actually see dolphins?
Yeah. I haven't seen them yet, but
it's probably illegal, right?
They're pretty far out in the sea as well. It's hard to get to them. But it is illegal. Actually, a few weeks before I moved, there was a big thing in the local newspaper because someone on a jet ski went really close to the dolphins and he was arrested and fined.
By the dolphins?
Yes, dolphin police. But yeah, you can see them.
Cool. Dude, we gotta visit you at some point. Is there like, I was gonna say, is there any other reason to go to Newcastle? Because the only time I've been there, it was like,
It's an absolutely beautiful place. I live a minute walk from a beach and then 10-minute walk from two other even nicer beaches, and there's dolphins and seals. It's a proper holiday resort in the UK when the summer comes.
But I know the Northwest, like the Lake District. That's actually, I would love to see the Lake District.
The Lake District is like an hour's drive from here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. Come.
You know what I appreciate the most about you making that move? There was, from what I understand, no necessity to do that. You just wanted to do it, and you made that change. And
yes.
that's just like, that's really cool.
Yeah, I needed a change. I'd been in London all my life, and I was sick of it. So there was a need for a change. I wanted to move for the last like 5 years or more, but I have a nice job that I like, and I never got to move away from London because of that. But now I can.
Is there going to be any legacy in town? Like, how big is Newcastle?
Newcastle's pretty big. I don't know the exact numbers. I haven't looked up population stuff. Newcastle's big.
Just take a guess, because I think was it Kai who like vastly misjudged the size of some town when we talked about it?
Oh, the urge to Google it, but I haven't Googled it. I really have no idea. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I think it was the population of Spain, no?
Yeah, I think it was like you said like 800,000 or so, I don't know, or like I don't know, or 200 million or something.
Dude, I'm terrible with numbers. I don't even know how I top 8'd that GP with Storm, honestly.
I know you talked about in the cheating episode.
Oh yeah.
Never mind.
I had to cheat.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Okay, I just looked it up and it says 52,000, which sounded so wrong, but it's actually that's the capacity of the stadium.
Okay, cool.
I was like, there's no way, no. Okay, so Newcastle,
I'd guess like 200,000.
I would have guessed like 400,000, but I could be wrong. So it says, okay, so we meet in the middle. It's 300,000.
Okay. I was more worried about being way off. Okay.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Not like London's, 9 million, 11 million? 9, I think.
Yeah. London is weird because like it depends on how you count it, right?
Right,
because,
Greater
like,
London,
Yeah. Also, then there are Americans who are going to be like, no, we use metropolitan area, and by now I've come to the point. Dude, we're so off topic, it's insane. by now I've come to the point. Okay, Americans, I understand why you guys use metropolitan area. I think it actually makes sense for your country. It absolutely makes no fucking sense for a country like Germany. Like,
Americans
absolutely
make no
way.
sense.
No, they make sense as long as they stay in their own context in that regard.
Okay.
It's just like, that's this American thing that we talked, like everybody knows about, where they apply their own view of the world to the rest of the world, and then they tell me, no, you have to think about the metropolitan area of Munich. And it's just like, the metropolitan area of Munich ends after driving into like one direction for 3 hours. This is like, that's not how we think about cities. But it makes sense when there's like the void, the huge void around your cities everywhere except for like the east. So yeah, anyway.
To answer your question, I haven't looked too much. There's not like a legacy community as far as I know. I don't think there's anything, and I don't plan to do anything because I've done my good old 7 years of running events. No more, thank you. But there's some things around, like an hour's drive or so north or south gets me to either Scotland or Midlands, and there are things to go to. There is a game shop like 15 seconds around the corner from my house, and I'm looking at what they do and stuff. They do Warhammer and Magic. The next Magic thing is this Friday. It's Casual Commander Night.
There you go, buddy. You're
gonna hit them with the old Rofellos, right?
I do have a terrible commander deck. There is a
right.
chaos draft in a few weeks.
Okay.
That's about it.
Okay, guys, I think we're gonna call it a day. It's my birthday tomorrow. Well, if you're listening to this, it was probably like
Happy birthday.
yesterday or a couple
Happy
of days.
birthday.
Well, not yet. It's bad luck if you do it too early.
Oh, whatever.
Just like with sex, right? And anyway,
you don't believe in bad luck, surely?
I believe in winning. Dude, that sounds so, I don't know.
You're worse than the commander players trying to like big fish, small pond. Jesus Christ.
No, I want to be the big fish in a big pond, but then again, like I'm a legacy player, so how big is the pond really gonna be?
Yeah.
Like at least I'm aware of that, right? Legacy is like
Depends if it counts the metropolitan areas.
Okay, we're going to end it with that. Thank you so much. If you want to leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, make sure to do that. But you can also support us on patreon.com/everydayeternal, just like all of our Patreons, especially the Eternal Witness tier Patreons, Franco Boli, Kane, Colin Garassi, Alex Crow, Tim Everett, Tessacula, Sebastian Holaga, Guillaume, Sean Dewey, Stephen Bush, Jim Monolith, by the way, band and commander, right? Francis Cowper, Cassandra Day. Actually, not band, but probably like top tier. Yeah. Francis Cowper, Cassandra Davis, Rich O'Shara, Tom Zishka, Benedict Gruber, and Severin Schwarzhuber. And our top Rofellos tier supporters, Evan Lessard, Tom Happ, Harry Houdini MTG, Ian Seefeld, Joe Brennan, and Colin Oskapi. Thank you so much, and see you again next time when we uncover more interesting facts about Osama bin Laden's porn collection. I don't know.
And we will talk about Legacy, I swear.
Yeah, we
promised.
Actually, I wonder which kind of hentai he was into. Anyways,
Oh, dear.
see you again next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.